Hi everyone, my name is Wajiha and today I will present my research exploring whether a consecutive 4-day bibliotherapy intervention using modernized Shakespearean narratives can improve emotional intelligence and well-being among university students. First of all, I want to talk about who I am and why I chose this topic. So this is me, Wajiha, looking at a cherry blossom tree on my way down to my uni. Since childhood, I've had a deep obsession with books, finding comfort, meaning, and escape within the pages of literature. This lifelong love of reading naturally evolved into a curiosity about the emotional impact of stories, particularly how they can help people process and regulate their feelings. And over time, this interest in emotional regulation, combined with my passion for literature, led me to explore the therapeutic potential of reading. This journey ultimately inspired my research topic, Shakespearean Bibliotherapy, where I examine how the emotional depth and human insight in Shakespeare's works can support psychological healing and growth. First of all, we're going to begin with the introduction of this thesis. First main questions are why emotional intelligence and well-being, what is bibliotherapy, and why Shakespeare? So basically, emotional intelligence as defined by Soloway and Meir involves perceiving, using, understanding, and managing emotions. Goldman expanded this to include empathy, motivation, and social skills. And for university students, emotional intelligence is crucial as it supports resilience, better communication, and even leadership. Studies also show that high emotional intelligence improves academic outcomes by helping students manage stress and use feedback effectively. Bibliotherapy is the structured use of literature to help individuals reflect on their emotions and experiences. So, historically applied in clinical settings, its reach now extends to non-clinical population like students, helping with anxiety, self-efficacy, and emotional literacy. Recent studies also show that it can be a valuable and accessible tool for supporting student well-being. So, why did we choose Shakespeare for this thesis? The reason why we chose Shakespeare was that Shakespeare's works explore timeless human themes, making them highly relatable for young audiences. And case studies have shown how engaging with Shakespearean texts can help adolescents process grief, navigate relationships, and build resilience. Our studies set out to test whether a structured, modernized Shakespearean bibliotherapy program could enhance emotional intelligence and well-being among many university students. So this was our aim. So our primary objective was to evaluate the effectiveness of modernized Shakespearean bibliotherapy intervention in improving emotional intelligence and well-being among Bangor Uni students. And then we proposed three hypotheses. First one being that emotional intelligence scores would increase post-intervention. Second one, that well-being scores would improve. And third, that gains in emotional intelligence would correlate with well-being improvements. These hypotheses are grounded in theoretical links between emotional intelligence and well-being. Now we're coming towards the methods section. So we recruited our participants through Bangor Uni's SONA system, and the participants filled in an initial questionnaire asking them about their age and whether if they had epilepsy, because this was our exclusion criteria. Then ethical approval was obtained and participants provided informed consent. We ensured that they had the right to withdraw and we gave them the information about the study. We also maintained strict confidentiality throughout the study. So the design was quantitative and experimental. The intervention was done between two groups, Group A and B, consecutively for 4 days. We focused on perceiving, using, understanding, and managing emotions using modernized Shakespearean narratives. The procedure involved taking pre intervention questionnaires from the participants and then a group assignment where we talked about how they were feeling that day, and then after the initial check-in we would one of the group members would read the whole narrative and give participants to read the narrative on their own for 5 minutes. After that they were given time to discuss in groups, and after 15 minutes uh, they were invited to answer the questions written on the board. There were thematic questions as well as reflective questions, and they were invited to answer all of them group by group. So this was carried on for 4 days, and then in the last session, post intervention assessments were carried out. So to measure emotional intelligence, we use the Schutte self-report emotional intelligence test, and to measure well-being, we use the Warwick-Edinburgh Mental Wellbeing Scale. The analysis, we used SPSS and through descriptive statistics summarize the data. Then for normality, we use the Shapiro-Wilk test and independent sample t-test examine the pre and post-intervention differences. Now the results section. So the results basic overview is that descriptive statistics showed us that there were 34 participants after cleaning the data. In group A and group B both there were 17 participants. Uh, Again, the measures that we used for pre and post intervention were the emotional intelligence SSEIT and well-being Warwick-Edinburgh test. The descriptive findings showed slight increases in mean scores for both emotional intelligence and well-being in both groups after the intervention. So, for statistical analysis, the Shapiro-Wilk tests confirm data met assumptions for parametric analysis, and the between group comparisons Independent sample t-tests revealed no statistically significant differences between Group A and Group B at pre or post intervention on either measure. So while descriptive gains were noted, they did not reach statistical significance. So following this slide, there is a bar chart that summarizes the results, showing group means and standard error bars. While we observed descriptive improvements, the high variability and small sample size likely limited our ability to detect significant effects. So the key takeaway is, yeah, potential positive trends, but no conclusive evidence of intervention effectiveness. Here is the bar chart with group means and standard errors for pre and post intervention. Uh, we can see that the mean score does not show any significant increase or decrease in pre and post assessments. So this is the discussion section, interpretation and findings. So what we found was basically the lack of significant effects likely stems from small sample size and brief intervention length. Also, non-clinical populations may also show subtler changes. These findings align with previous research showing bibliotherapy's potential, but also its dependency on duration and intensity. This study's strengths include an innovative design and a very strong ethical foundation, whereas the limitations involve small sample size, engagement variability, and reliance on self-report measures, which can introduce bias. These preliminary findings offer important insights for future research. So the implications and future directions are that bibliotherapy shows promise as a contemporary tool for supporting student well-being and emotional development. The future researchers can use a larger sample size, more diverse samples, longer interventions in terms of duration, inclusion of qualitative methods like interviews, focus groups, and the final takeaway would be integrating literary interventions like Shakespeare into student support programs. It could really enhance the emotional literacy and resilience of the students. As researchers and training counselors, we were mindful of our own biases and enthusiasm for bibliotherapy. So, regular supervision and structured reflective practice really helped us maintain objectivity and uphold research integrity. Bibliotherapy using Shakespearean stories offers an intriguing tool for emotional development. While our study found no significant effects, the descriptive gains and theoretical grounding highlight directions for future works. I would like to end my research thesis presentation with this quote saying fiction and poetry are doses, medicines. What they heal is the rupture reality makes on the imagination, and it aligns with how reading books can impact emotional well being. Acknowledgements. I would like to thank all the participants that took time and took a part in our research study. They were all very lovely and nice. Also, my lovely group fellows, to Steph and Sona. Thanks for being amazing group fellows. Also, my supervisor Faye and Susie, who supported me during this whole project. And most importantly, thank you all for your attention today.